Hello, and today I have with me Renee Hella, who's a friend and a colleague, and just another pilgrim on the path, the pre and perinatal path. And she's going to be giving a talk in our online course on twin dynamics and the baby's experience. So, Renee, I'm wondering if you could just tell people a little bit about yourself and what you're going to talk about in our online conference.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Kate. I really appreciate, knowing you and some of our shared experiences and being welcomed onto this talk. I'm going to talk about human chimeras. And this is something that happens in twinning events. So the reason I actually got into being curious about the pre and perinatal work to begin with, and twinning in particular, was because of my mom, who is, she was a ECD, a young education teacher all over the world, in Papua New Guinea, where I grew up, in a remote community and in a village there, and also in Burma, in Myanmar. She was her twin actually passed away at about 5 weeks old. So my mom, she lost her twin quite young, and she always was kind of looking for that, that relationship again in all of her relationships, including with me. So as her baby. And so when I first actually heard about the pre and perinatal work, it was actually an interview Kate had done with Myrna, where they showed, I think you showed this beautiful image of these twins playing together through a curtain. And it was just so lovely. And I was like, oh, wow. And then I think all because of, and at that point, at that stage, when I got into the pre and perinatal work, I was always thinking like, oh, I have this kind of twin imprint because my mom imprinted on me that I was her twin, sort of thing. And I'd always heard this often repeated myth, it turns out, actually, about twins, that they skip a generation. Twins skip a generation. So I was quite firm in my belief that there was no way that I was a twin, or even this phenomena, the womb twin survivor. But what I would notice, because I'm actually a biodynamic craniosacral therapist, and I've been doing that for about nearly 20 years now, and have been teaching in my local community here, as well as in other areas. But so one of the things I would always start to notice is that people who were twins would kind of be drawn to me. It's like this magnetic thing, and they'd be kind of coming to me and hanging out with me. And sometimes they didn't even know that they were womb twin survivors, but I'd start noticing these things, and I'd be like, I wonder. And so I always thought that about other people and not me, right? And it turned out in one of the trainings I was assisting with Myrna, that I had the experience of, because I'd heard the lecture several times that she was giving. So I was kind of like playing with this hand puppet and, listening on one hand and kind of in this other space. And suddenly this little puppet on my hand turned to me. It was kind of like, oh, what if you were a twin? And I was like, like twitch, well, these things. And my body response was just so powerful. And so that was a really powerful revelation for me. But the curiosity then was, because I'd been in the field already and hearing about the twin loss dynamic and how that generally showed up in people's systems who had experienced a loss of a twin while in the womb. Some of these really, very systemic and ongoing things that can show up for people with twin loss dynamics. But there was a way in which it didn't feel the same to me. Like I didn't have that sort of like desperate feeling of loss. There was this feeling like, oh, there's some part of me here and here still. And so I even mentioned that to Myrna, and she said to me, oh, they've been finding people have 2 sets of DNA in their bodies with, some of this more modern technology that they're doing. And it turns out that that's not so weird after all that you might feel that way. Anyway, so sorry, I'm not really talking so much about myself here, but I guess I am in a way too.
Yeah, you are.
Included.
You're telling a story. Yeah. So you're going to talk about the chimera, which is, I think the title of your talk is Embryology of Human Chimeras and the Implications for Autoimmune Conditions, Midline and Boundary Dynamics.
Yeah.
Multiple personalities. So it's going to be an exciting scientific as well as sort of mystical. I don't know. That's what I'm feeling inside myself, that we're going to go on a pretty big adventure with you.
I think you're right. I also just would like to throw in there, because the man who actually did the studies on figuring out how the embryology of these twins is a fascinating guy. I have his book here, actually, How Humans Are Made. Mm-hmm. It's kind of quite a I don't actually necessarily recommend trying to read it. He's got some articles on the internet and stuff that may be more manageable. But the funny thing with him is that he wasn't trying to get into studying the embryology of twins. He was, I think, in the 70s, there's quite a thing about doing DNA studies, big studies, with twins and singleton type things. So he was actually curious about schizophrenia and some of these mental health issues. And he was trying to learn more about that by doing a twin study with DNA and stuff. And what he ended up finding, it's one of those cool sort of scientific studies that he was able to be open-minded enough to follow the data and start realizing, oh, there's something more going on here with twin embryology than we've realized, because we have some underlying assumptions that are over a century old that kind of nobody's really looked into or questioned around if there's one egg or two eggs and how that all works out. So I'll get into a lot of that in the talk.
Oh, good. Now I want to read that book again. All right. Well,
I'll send you the clip notes. No, I shouldn't say that. I mean, he's a great guy.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time together. I'm really looking forward to having you on the panel. And your talk is on the 26th of October. And so I really encourage everybody out there listening to come and be a part of our twin dynamics exploration in October and November here at the Pre and Perinatal Online Healing. Thanks, Renee.